Hello friends, welcome back to the channel. It's your host, Guy with the hair. Been a while since we've done a video, and with things starting to cool down, I figured it's time to, get back to that grindstone.
Make it stop!
For anyone that didn't know, we did in fact make it to over 1,000 subscribers, which is beyond me. I never thought that was possible. It's MBTI, who cares about MBTI? Anyhow, as was promised, upon reaching 1,000 subscribers, I would make a how to spot an ENTJ video. I'm not sure why you would want to spot one. I mean, granted, when you're making a deal with someone, it's best to make sure that they're not the devil. The ENTJ is a vicious predator. When it has a victim in its sights, it displays no mercy, no remorse. Always keep one eye open, or you may be its next meal. I semi-regularly get people telling me about how they know a bunch of ENTJs. Some weeks back, someone actually told me that one of their best friends was an ENTJ, to which I giggled. ENTJs don't have friends, they have contacts, acquaintances, targets. And it's not that the ENTJs can't have friends, it's that friends take time. Friendship takes effort. And ENTJs just don't have time for you. Whether it's networking with politicians, plotting a hostile takeover, running the FBI, there isn't enough time in the day for them to be hyper-successful and have meaningful friendships with others. So let's talk about the frequency of ENTJs. That personality is nearly as rare as the INFJ. So if anyone claims to be an ENTJ, always remember to press X, especially if it's in the MBTI community. ENTJs lead with extroverted thinking, so they spend their life consuming the most accredited bits of information, logic, knowledge, etc. They don't spend a whole lot of time pondering about what the next correct move should be, and that's because they already read The Art of the Deal and they're well on their way to screwing people over in business practices. You're fired. Having that level of preference for extroverted thinking means that procrastination for them is spending an extra 60 seconds in the bathroom.
Workaholic. The urine stain on your pants would signify that you're a single shake man. Far too busy for the follow-up jiggle.
Their lives are meticulously planned and scheduled, and as you can imagine, they're not the most versatile or improvisational peoples. More or less, they're the near opposite of the ENTP personality. They're driven, I'm lazy. They're organized, I'm a slob. They plan how their week's gonna go. When I wake up, the day's a mystery. They can't stand things being left unfinished. I barely remember to put pants on. The next function that they preference is the one that makes them so rare. Introverted intuition. Being in the second position, or what I call the active position, means that the ENTJ prefers to focus on their plans, their goals, ambitions. They're always actively planning out their future. They'll focus on what schools they're going to go to, what career they're going to get into, what businesses they're going to take over. Their future is their priority. And if you're not going to be a part of that future, then they simply don't have time for you. So if you come across a super friendly ENTJ, one of two things are happening. Either they're obviously not an ENTJ, or two, they want something from you. Could be money, could be connections, and in rare cases could be your spleen. In any case, they are too concerned with themselves to really focus on anything else.
Maybe I should jab my pen through your windpipe and staple your tongue to the roof of your mouth.
And then we move on to the third function, which I find to be the most concerning of all of them in this particular assortment of functions: extroverted sensing. Extroverted sensing is the no-nonsense function. It focuses on what is rather than what could be, meaning that the ENTJ prefers A to B results, something tangible. How can I get the greatest objective benefit for what I'm doing? In the adolescent ENTJs, you'll often find them, let's say, pumping iron in the gym, learning to box or wrestle, possibly even getting into MMA-related activities when they have time for it. Meaning that if you meet an ENTJ in a dark alley someplace, you have to make the assumption that they don't have an issue getting physical with you. And it also means they're typically more health conscious than the average person.
Before we begin, you must all be warned. Nothing here is vegetarian.
So what do we have so far? A never-ending desire for scheduling and organization, a motivation for success that most other personalities couldn't come close to matching, and a preference for physical fitness and overall health. But what is it that ties this psychopathic personality together? Well, believe it or not, it's actually introverted feeling, in the disdained position. ENTJs are aware of it. They understand its purpose. But do they really care about morals, ethics, and values? No, not even a little bit. No. ENTJs have a strong distaste for emotions. Considering their plans and goals, introverted feeling really has no place for them. But just because they don't like introverted feeling doesn't mean that they're plotting to throw all introverted feelers into a dungeon somewhere. Probably. As a matter of fact, as they get older, they start learning the value of human manipulation. Granted, most of it's going to be through bribes and threats, but they eventually figure out how to manipulate people through emotions. They're often pretty keen observers, so they'll notice how others treat people, and whether or not it was effective. Granted, if that doesn't work, they'll probably just read a book on psychology.
I'm sorry, Will. Observing is what we do. I can't shut mine off any more than you can shut yours off.
But even if the ENTJ picked up some tips and tricks from an extroverted feeler, they're not going to be up in people's business, nor are they going to be remotely concerned about how the barista got your coffee wrong. As for some of their more behavioral traits, ENTJs more than most hate losing. If they've spent that kind of time trying to be the best or come in first place, they don't look at it as just a competitive loss. They look at it as a loss of time. And although they don't respect people very much, they seem to have a great respect for time, which can leave them maybe a little bitter, possibly a little vengeful.
B+?
But they don't often act on it, because the act of taking vengeance might also be a waste of time. They also don't view people as people so much as stepping stones, in some cases cattle. Betrayal, treachery, these concepts don't hold much weight to the ENTJ. So unless you're an INFP looking for their Christian Grey, you're probably not going to spend all that much time getting to know them. So now the real question, where are you supposed to spot these apex predators? For most of us peasants, you're most likely to find them in, let's say, high school or college. They'll be working hard, trying to get valedictorian, might be the quarterback of the football team because it looks good on a resume, but after school's over, they're going to have their nose to the grindstone trying to work their way up in society, aiming for titles like CEO, business partner, politician, senator, although I don't suspect too many of them have made it to President of the United States. You have to care a little bit more about people to sway them to your side. Former director of the FBI James Comey, I believe to be one of those ENTJs that made it up to a place of high authority. I would have said Hillary Clinton, but she seems to have a more difficult time controlling her emotions in public settings.
Why aren't I 50 points ahead?
Overall, the ENTJ is a very hyper-focused and organized individual. They always have their eyes on the future. And if you prove yourself to be an immutable obstacle, they have no issues with destroying you in any way that they can. And I think that's all the attention span we can afford for today's topic. And remember that to an ENTJ, you're not a person, your food. And as always, I thank you for watching. Thank you for getting me up to 1,000 subscribers. Remember to join my Discord if you have any more questions or you want to get typed. And don't forget about my Patreon as well as my live streams on Fridays. And I think that's going to be it, MBTI enthusiast. I'll catch you next time. Bye!